Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the National Insurance Board paying out more than $16 million a month in unemployment. We've got the story. A doctor opens up about his COVID-19 battle. Plus, no new cases, but hundreds more in quarantine.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, the National Insurance Board has received some 30,000 applications for unemployment assistance due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that number is expected to grow, according to Minister of National Insurance Brenzel Roll, who revealed how many millions will be paid out each month. Giorgio Bain has more.
The National Insurance Board expects to pay an additional $16 million a month in unemployment benefits, according to Minister in Charge Brenzel Roll, who said that they have seen additional benefits to conducting business online. The dramatic boost in unemployment due to the COVID-19 pandemic means the National Insurance Board will be paying out millions each month to the tune of $16 million.
We are projecting that we're going to spend approximately $16 million more than we anticipate each month. So that would be a concern, but we're not concerned in a serious fashion about NIB's funds. We just want to make sure that we pay as quickly as we can and show the Bahamian people that we are there for them, and hopefully they will be there for us. This is an exercise where Bahamians would see the benefit of NIB of being compliant and making their payments.
Roll admits the amount due to be paid is concerning, but revealed that figure is expected to grow as Family Island applications are trickling in. 3,000 persons have already applied for special assistance provided for members of the tourism industry. NIB also advanced $20 million for pension payments for the month of April, except for Grand Key and Morris Island, which were not up to date.
We have just under 30,000 applications for unemployment assistance. So far we have spent about $12 million. No, sorry about that. So far we've spent about $5 million on 12,000 applications. We are processing a significant number of small businesses, so we expect the numbers would increase significantly.
Roll added that those employees who are working for big companies that were not up to date on contribution payments will not be made to suffer.
I know we're having some slight issues with persons in smaller companies because their process is a little bit slower because some of them are not up to date totally. We've taken the position that we're going to negotiate with these companies. We're going to reach out to them and have agreements signed with them. But the critical point is the clients, our customers, will not be disadvantaged because a company did not pay. NIB has the capacity to go after these big companies, and we will.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
A local doctor who recovered from COVID-19 is opening up about his battle with the deadly virus. Jared Hicks has his story.
And realize that walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and that some didn't make it.
Dr. Tony Frankson was overcome with emotion as he recalled his battle with COVID-19.
Some great people didn't make it, and some humble people didn't make it, but
the 67-year-old doctor's battle with the novel coronavirus began in March when he believes he contracted the virus while attending a medical conference here in the Bahamas. After that conference, he traveled to another conference in Trinidad where he began to develop a dry cough. That was on a Thursday. And by Sunday, when he was back in Nassau, his symptoms worsened.
I started to have some fevers and pains in my muscles all over. I'm usually a very strong person, physically. And man, I just had to sleep.
Frankson contacted the COVID-19 hotline and says he was told to stay home and continue monitoring his symptoms. His exhaustion kept him in bed for 2 days straight.
I slept from Monday afternoon until Wednesday afternoon. No kidding.
The American epidemiologist, who has worked in the Bahamas for 11 years, kept in touch with health authorities and the U.S. Embassy, but his condition continued to deteriorate.
The next week, I noticed my coordination started to go, my taste was gone.
A telltale COVID-19 symptom. Frankson says that loss of taste was so profound that he popped a whole garlic clove and didn't taste a single thing.
I was in shortness of breath. And I said, this is no joke. This is only going south.
The lecturer at UWI's Bahamas School of Medicine says he hopped in his car and headed to PMH, a familiar place for him, as it is where his office and classroom are located. When he got there, he was so weak that he couldn't carry the suitcase he packed.
And I struggled up that little hill that goes up to the entrance to the new part of the hospital, which is where I found out they were waiting on me. And they took me from there right into quarantine.
Frankson says he was given oxygen almost immediately, and it wasn't long before he was shuttled by ambulance to Doctors Hospital's Blake Road facility. The disease specialist was tested twice for COVID-19. The first test came back negative, but a second test revealed that he had contracted the virus. Scans of his chest reveal widespread pneumonia. At one point, as he gazed out a hospital window at a tree in bloom, he started to make peace with himself.
After I'd split some seeds, I said, look at that. The pods are giving up of their life so that the seeds can be liberated to form new trees and so on. I said, well, if I go, I could go with this picture. And I was starting to feel at peace with myself, realizing I might die.
But as the days went on, the resilient doctor started to recover and regain strength. He credits the professionalism of the nurses at the facility for his progress and says despite regular meals provided by the Royal Bahamas Defence Force, he lost 20 pounds battling the virus. Frankson, who never had to use a ventilator to breathe, was moved to tears as he expressed gratitude for the care that he received.
I have so much respect for what they've done. I think might be after the Ebola scare. They were one of the few Caribbean countries in place what was necessary in case something else like that happened.
After 12 difficult days and after many prayers at home and around the world, the resilient doctor was discharged. As he rests at home, Frankson is grateful for life. He says he believes that his strong faith in God guided him through.
Don't be foolish and leave God out of the picture. This is no time for that. Hold his hands, remember his words of comfort and reassurance, and he works through and turns things around like he did for me.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Very touching story. Well, after spending the long Easter holiday weekend at home, New Providence residents flooded the streets today, filling grocery stores, pharmacies, service stations, and even fast food restaurant drive-thrus. Berthany McDermott reports.
Following that 5-day lockdown and the suspension of the alphabetical food store schedule, scores of Bahamians showed up at Super Value to stock up on necessary items.
Fruits spoil quickly. You can't stock up too much on fruits. So most I came to get fruits and vegetables.
That's correct. Just adding to some of the things that have been depleted.
We always have food in the house. I put it like that. We always have food in the house. So we just getting just the necessary little miscellaneous little stuff that we need, like everyday little stuff that we always get.
Banks, grocery stores, pharmacies, gas stations, and even fast food restaurants all saw long lines today. It was the first time shoppers were able to visit stores since the 5-day lockdown. On Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis temporarily suspended the food shopping schedule. Patrick Wilson applauded the move, insisting the schedule was ineffective.
It seems as if it's working because it seems as if everything is moving much smoother as opposed to, everybody cluttering up based on their last name.
But not everyone agrees.
I think it was necessary to kind of work on the crowd control, and so I thought it was really necessary.
I have no problem with it. The only problem is, I guess some people, the road was full of traffic, just wanted to get out of the house. I'm sure the same people shopping, if you tell them shop every day, they'll shop every day. Like the Prime Minister said, they shop a list, have my list. Have a list of what you really need, not just to get out of the house.
Over at On the Run gas station, we ran into Michael Claridge, who said he has been out of work due to the pandemic.
I'm self-employed, I'm a landscaper. So yeah, God has been good. He's kept us through it. And one of the biggest things that we've been able to take away from it is learning how to really lean on God. To understand that for all that's going on in the world, He's faithful and just to keep us through it all.
After spending 5 days on lockdown, these residents say it wasn't difficult.
My husband and I, we used to, from work, going home, so this has been like a honeymoon for us.
I'm normally a homebody, so I understand why it was done. I understand it's necessary, and so I was not one of those persons who would be fighting against it.
But by and large, I didn't find any great difficulty with it. I prefer to take the approach, look at what positives could come out of it. And for my family in particular, it really, we have a lot more family bonding.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
The latest COVID-19 dashboard reveals no new confirmed cases of coronavirus since Monday, but hundreds more people are in quarantine. 712 people are now in quarantine, a huge leap from the 493 people who were in quarantine just yesterday. Well, Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands responding to claims that junior doctors are being threatened with no contract renewals if they don't volunteer to participate in the COVID-19 response. He said these allegations are being investigated.
I can tell you they certainly were not threatened by me, and they certainly were not threatened by anybody who I have given a directive to threaten them. I find that principle abhorrent, and it is certainly not something that is consistent with the approach of the Ministry of Health. So I'm flabbergasted by that claim, and we're investigating.
Sands said he has met with union representatives who brought the matter to his attention over the weekend.
We've met on Sunday. I met with some 280 or so physicians by Zoom. The day before, I met with the physician leadership. I am open, I'm available, and we continue to seek resolution to any of these outstanding matters. This is not the time for division. This is the time for us to come together, solve problems, which is not to say we got to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but we have a nation, a people that's counting on us.
To prevent the spread of coronavirus, Doctors Hospital has made a number of changes. Take a look. It's an added measure once you enter Doctors Hospital and is a part of the code yellow status the hospital is now under. You're greeted by nurses, your temperature is checked, and you're asked to use hand sanitizer. It's perhaps one of the simplest changes made at the hospital. Just look at the adjustments made in accident and emergency.
We have isolation rooms that we immediately take them to so that they are separated not only from staff that are dealing with regular broken bones, chest pains, and that sort of thing to ensure that we contain the spread.
According to Senior VP of Patient Care Services, Bridget Sherman, many of the country's COVID-19 cases were confirmed at the hospital. But their process, which has been in place for a while, has called for all in the ER to have personal protective equipment. And the precautionary measures continue throughout the hospital.
Physicians have the ability now to round on their patients virtually.
They don't have to go in the room.
They don't actually have to go in the room. They don't even have to be on site.
Sherman confirmed that as cases increase, more and more of the hospital's healthcare professionals have been placed in quarantine at home.
We take the protection of our staff very seriously. We have actually created our own tracing or surveillance unit for our staff members to determine who they would have had contact with, which patients. We have already have some staff that are off on quarantine because of whatever contact that they may have had.
Doctors Hospital's Blake Road facility is now being used by government to house the positive coronavirus patients who display serious symptoms.
We do have, as well as on Blake Road, in our main hospital on Shirley Street, isolation rooms that they're all able to protect not only the patient, but protect the staff that are treating the patients.
Back at the hospital, family visitation has been suspended with a few special instances. And in the midst of it all, Sherman says there has been some good news. Despite restrictions, a father was able to be present virtually for the delivery of his baby.
So he was not able to be in room, but he was able to be with his wife, witness his child's birth, and actually stay throughout the entire session, and that was wonderful.
Still to come, students can now catch up with their studies on Rev. Stay tuned.
The Ministry of Education presents the Bahamas Learning Channel on Rev TV Channel 295, starting Wednesday, April 15th, where students across the entire Bahamas will have access to virtual learning for BJC and BGCSE taught daily by our teachers. Tune into the Bahamas Learning Channel, where education is in the click. And stay tuned for the Bahamas Learning Channel 296, launching soon.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Since the first confirmed case of coronavirus was reported a month ago, the number of cases has risen, leaving many to ask, how did we get here? Jasmine Brown takes a look.
The country's first COVID-19 patient was identified as a 61-year-old woman who had no recent travel history. Ministry of Health officials confirmed that case on March 15th. It was a diagnosis that launched the country into a new normal and came more than 2 months after the Wuhan Center for Disease Control and Prevention in central China's Hubei province said it detected cases of pneumonia of unknown cause on December 30th, 2019. With the virus spreading worldwide, Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands was asked about it on January 22nd, even before it was declared a pandemic.
It has the potential to become a pandemic.
Days later, on January 30th, the government's directive would shift and the country would begin the process of shutting down its borders. But it has been the skyrocketing COVID-19 cases that have grabbed the most attention. Between March 15th and April 13th, the Bahamas has recorded 49 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and the breakdown is alarming. Between March 15th and March 21st, officials reported 4 cases of COVID-19. 7 days later, on March 28th, there were 11 confirmed cases of the virus and no confirmed deaths. By April 4th, there were 28 confirmed cases and 4 confirmed deaths. And just over a week later, on April 13th, there were 49 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 8 deaths. The first COVID-19 related death was confirmed on April 1st, prompting the Prime Minister to admit this fact.
As expected, we are in a surge.
The increase in cases has come stricter rules on social distancing, a grocery shopping schedule, the implementation of a 24-hour curfew where some stores are allowed to open, and periodic lockdowns that shut down businesses and bans non-essential workers from leaving their homes. As Attorney General Carl Bethel put it when explaining the extension of an emergency order in the Senate, the restrictions are now the new normal.
We are now in a position where the country is going to rotate between 2 statuses, if you will. One is the 24-hour curfew, which is the new normal.
As for how long the new normal will last, those in charge say that will depend on the advice of medical experts. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd is calling on parents and guardians to make learning a major part of students' daily schedule while they're at home. To make the learning process easier, students who do not have internet access will be able to catch up with their schoolwork by watching Rev cable channels 295 and 296 starting on Wednesday.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, April the 15th, we begin the live transmission on channels 295 of Cable Bahamas, targeting those students who do not have internet or have devices. And 296, which is also dedicated for the Ministry of Education, will be launched sometime next week.
According to Lloyd, though 75,000 students are enrolled in school, only 30,000 have registered for the virtual learning platform to date. Of that figure, only half are actually participating in the sessions. Students can access the virtual learning portal.
Today, April the 14th, we begin again the virtual school for grades 7 through 12. Grades preschool through 1 through 6 in the elementary school they can go online, Ministry of Education, Bahamas.com, and access their respective grade where there are pre-recorded lessons and their learning schedule.
According to Lloyd, though 75,000 students are enrolled in school, only 30,000 have registered for the virtual learning platform to date. Of that figure, only half are actually participating in the sessions. Students can access the virtual learning portal using Ministry of Education Bahamas.com.
Today, April the 14th, we begin again the virtual school for grades 7 through 12. Grades preschool through 1 through 6 in the elementary school they can go online, Ministry of Education, Bahamas.com, and access their respective grade where there are pre-recorded lessons and their learning schedule.
Still to come, hear from a New York dentist stuck in Nassau. Stay tuned.
The Ministry of Education presents the Bahamas Learning Channel on Rev TV Channel 295, starting Wednesday, April 15th, where students across the entire Bahamas will have access to virtual learning for BJC and BGCSE taught daily by our teachers. Tune into the Bahamas Learning Channel, where education is in the click. And stay tuned for the Bahamas Learning Channel 296, launching soon.
A Bahamian dentist who lives in New York is stuck in New Providence during the global health crisis. Jillian Gray has her story.
What was supposed to be a 2-week trip for Dr. Tamar Carey has dragged on since March, and there's no telling when she'll be able to return to New York. The Bahamian-born dentist knew there may have been a delay in her return, but she didn't think it would have been this long.
The number of coronavirus cases began to increase in New York City, and more schools and non-essential businesses were being shut down, including my own workplace. It became apparent that I might have an extended stay in the Bahamas, so I packed a few more items, but obviously not enough.
Dr. Carey, who practices at the Dental Health Center here in New Providence, is also a professor at NYU. While she is conducting lectures virtually for her students in New York, the coronavirus has affected her practice here in New Providence.
I normally commute to the Bahamas once a month or so to see patients. So it has affected my practice in that I've had to put a pause on the non-elective treatment, but I'm available for the emergency consultations with patients.
When Carey landed in New Providence, she said she self-isolated as a precaution and continues to practice physical distancing protocols to protect herself and the community. New York is one of the hardest hit states in the U.S., with 195,000 cases and 10,000 deaths. More people have died in New York than in any other state in America. Carey said that high number is because of their capacity to test, and while New Providence and New York are similar, she says we may not see such a large surge in cases as they have.
We can expect to see an increase in cases in the Bahamas because we already have community spread of the disease. To some extent, New York's high case count is a reflection of its high testing capacity. So as we test more people for coronavirus in the Bahamas, inevitably the number of confirmed cases will increase.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. Still to come, Doctors Hospital introduces curbside prescription pickups. Stay tuned.
The Ministry of Education presents the Bahamas Learning Channel on Rev TV Channel 295, starting Wednesday, April 15th, where students across the entire Bahamas will have access to virtual learning for BJC and BGCSE taught daily by our teachers. Tune into the Bahamas Learning Channel, where education is in the click. And stay tuned for the Bahamas Learning Channel 296, launching soon.
Doctors Hospital making it easier for customers to fill prescriptions at its pharmacy with curbside pickup. Put in your prescription by emailing prescriptions@doctorshosp.com. Pay for it online or over the phone and pick up your medication outside.
A very easy way to send in your refill request via email or mobile. You can also send in new prescriptions.
Once the prescription is sent, we will go in the system and go ahead and prepare it, and then we will give you a call back and walk you through the payment process on our online portal. Once payment is made, you pull up and then we deliver the medications to you.
Dr. Iris Turner said they've been finding ways to make services at the hospital easier.
Compounding a lot more items. We're looking to provide more natural compounds as well as medicinal compounds. We'll be providing more services in terms of counseling, what's called medication therapy management, where we'll do a thorough check on individuals' medication as well as their standards in terms of their treatment guidelines and everything.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the go with the Revico Play app. Have a good Tuesday evening, Bahamas.